Hello, everyone. Today is the first episode of Let's Talk Cyber, and we have with us our very own Jozsef Gascal. So, Joseph is head of our company, Security Lit. Yeah, I thought it'll be good to curate a platform where I can speak with people like Joseph, invite some industry professionals, key leaders, so we can make cybersecurity accessible to common people and someone like me who doesn't come from a technical background. So thank you so much, Joseph, for joining us today. And we'll be talking about the recent DHB attack. So I'm very keen to know what you think about that and what are your take on it.
Thank you, Ankita, and welcome everyone. I think what we see here is a sign of this growing danger of being a collateral damage in these cyber attacks. And unfortunately, there is a good reason for these attacks because the cybercrime is growing in a fast pace, and it's basically an easy money for many people, and of course, there are global political and economical trends and reasons behind it. Many people can learn how to perform these attacks very easily. There are ready-made tools available, even sometimes for free, and there are criminal run academies on the web, especially in the dark web, where you can learn all of these skills and how to use these tools. Of course, they are wanting you either pay for it or pay back with your workforce. So you became a part of this criminal network very easily, learning these skills. And many people just don't think what a little bit what they are doing. So we see indiscriminate attacks here and there, and unfortunately, healthcare is a very easy target in many cases.
Thank you, Joseph. And it's not only the Waikato attack. I think we are seeing these kind of attacks globally. So was there a similar sort of attack that you saw in Europe or maybe in Hungary?
Fortunately, not in Hungary, and I think not yet. But in the neighboring countries, there were targeted attacks performed by some Russian groups for political reasons, and there were a huge attack in Ireland recently, where basically the whole Irish healthcare system was stopped. And before that, there were many attacks. For example, in the USA last year, they counted 400 hospitals who were attacked by either criminals or by nation states, as we call it. So, government supported hacker groups.
Right, right. And Joseph, please correct me if I'm wrong. You have transitioned into cybersecurity. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So like because I don't come from this background as well. So how was the transition for you? What made you get interested in cybersecurity?
Many years ago, I worked for a company called Intel, and we had some technologies which were built into the different computing platforms we supported, and this is where I started to learn about all of these technologies. So it made me interested. I have engineering background, how it works and why we were doing and why it was so important for our customers. And over the years, I learned more and more. And in the last 4 or 5 years, I was really focusing on this. So it became my main interest and even my hobby as well.
And I'm sure you're enjoying it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. That's great to hear, Joseph. So, and I think I mean I know that you're also helping a big hospital as a CISO in Hungary. So so what's your experience? What have you experienced in this role? Is there anything that you can tell us that people should be aware of, or how they can protect themselves in their day-to-day lives?
Yes, this hospital is part of it's a government naming, so-called system element with national importance. So these are critical elements of the government network. And what we learned here is, first of all, what happens. So uh, attacking a hospital will result in a very different impact as versus the usual business attack or an attack against a business. Because first of all, it's in most of the cases, or I would say in all of the cases, you are attacking a country. So it can be even as a categorized as a war crime. And there are rules for wars, and hospitals are protected in these rules. But these people don't know any rules or any boundaries. And the main impact, which is everybody's mind, is that innocent people can die because systems will stop, which are very important. On the second hand, this is what they are trying to use to manipulate these hospitals, that they can publicize sensitive information. It can be leaked, and in the third hand, the trust in the government and in the society can be demolished. So this is very serious stuff. And on the other hand, what we see is that these hospitals, unfortunately, are easy targets. Uh, we are learning about these attacks in the recent years, so not everybody prepared for this. The security awareness, as we call it, it's not on the right level yet. And the new technologies are going into the healthcare industry as well in big way. A lot of new sensors, new devices with computer in it, so-called Internet of Things is improving even there very well. And these are merging with all the systems which are not very well protected against this kind of activities. And we try to tell the management of these hospitals and organization that this is important, but in many cases they are starting to put it on the table after the first attacks, and in many cases it's just too late. So it's a big effort to make it a management issue that they should talk about in the meeting room, and not run after the events.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I have another question. You know, sorry, I'm asking. I know I'm asking too many questions.
No, no,
Um,
no.
Thank you. But I wanted to know, because you've worked for the likes of, big companies like IBM, Intel, Fujitsu, some of the big, giants in the tech space. What do you feel is the difference between these multinationals, and now you're heading a small startup, security led. What's the difference do you see, in the mindsets of maybe the people who are leading the companies? Anything that you feel, I would like to know.
Okay, so of course there are huge differences how these companies are managed and led by people, but in many cases you will find um, people with multinational background helping these startups and small and medium businesses, which is good because the culture can be transferred into this world. The main difference from this point of view is that how they are managing the risks of the business. So the established multinationals, they very special systems and a long tradition how they should think about risk and how to manage risk in the company. And There are huge books about this and a lot of education, and they have an advantage that they start to think about this in a very early stage if there is a new kind of risk on the horizon. So these companies are looking on cyber risk and how to manage this, what kind of strategies they can apply in a very different way, and they have planning, testing, reviewing in the right place in the most of the cases. And I think maybe we can talk about how SMB should think about these kind of things. So I would tell them that they should be proactive, and they should learn about these things. And on their level, they should build a security program very quickly, because you can be a victim of these attacks by the chance, or it was wrongly designed, and they don't care who will be affected with this. And yeah, I would say the assemblies shouldn't wait until they are on the wrong side of the
Yeah.
things, and this can be a little bit crazy for some, and pushy, and but unfortunately this danger is real. And if you look around and you
Yeah, because the consequences can be catastrophic for a small business, because one attack, one significant attack can just bring you down to your knees. So I think that's a very very good advice, SMB should follow. But if we talk about the recent attack that happened to Waikato DHB, I mean, it's not a mom and dad shop we're talking about. We're talking about a big hospital. So what, for me as a person, if I am, like one of the customer or one of the patients of this hospital, this would impact my daily life, right? Because
mm,
they have my information, they have my sensitive data, and if they're not taking security seriously, then it affects people who are associated with them, unfortunately. So what do you think, Joseph? Am I on the right path, or you can add something to it?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So this is a living example in front of anybody in New Zealand or Waikato, even that look, this is happening in front of our eyes, and we should think about this. And then there are implications in your private life even, because you should think about these things on your home computer or home network
Hmm.
as well. That how you protect it. But if we just think about the business side, uh, people should hire someone who knows these things, and at least have a, a quick view on your security stance, how you see threats, how your systems can manage these things, and how basically your information technology system is set up. Is it on premise? Is it in the cloud, or both? And these are quite different situations with very different outcomes. And people, especially if they run their own applications, they should start testing those applications, collect certificates that these are regularly tested and examined versus international standards.
Yeah, and
The
I
best,
think people are doing those tests, but they're just doing that to tick the boxes, and not to
yeah,
understand what exactly is the problem in their system. I think that's what is lacking. If we start taking it, as you said, do it proactively, and do it because you want to save the organization and save the application, and not just to tick the box, then I think it can make a significant difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if some clever companies start to run 2 3 years of security program for themselves, because not
Mm.
everything can be solved in one
One
month
night.
or
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
one run. So it's very good if they have a long-term planning and thinking about this. Especially these problems will not disappear from
Yeah.
tomorrow. I think it's just growing and growing at the moment, and we should be prepared that in the future it will stay with us. And there is another push on the businesses. These are the regulators. If you think about the New Zealand Privacy Act or the GDPR in Europe or other uh, legislations, so these can have the direct impact on the businesses as well. So this is another area which tells us that okay, let's learn and let's do something about this. So start get educated, look around
and i
who can.
think I think education is important with this. It's this space is changing so fast, right? And
Yeah,
we have to prepare ourselves to basically compete with the bad people, these bad hackers. um, I think there's a long way to go, but I think we're moving in that direction, which is good. Before you go, Joseph, I would like to ask you how, if you were to, explain the incident that happened with Waikato DHB in a very plain language, how would you explain it to us? Because I think our viewers who are listening to us would like to understand. Some may not come from tech background like myself, so it would be easier for them if you can just explain to them what happened.
basically the attackers deployed some software on the system, and basically they just stopped the normal running of the hospital. And these new modern hospitals are based on information technology, and if you remove it from the daily operations, then you are in the situation when either you go back to paper and pen, or you just stop working at all. So this is a very dangerous situation, and this is what's happening everywhere.
And I think the attackers also asked for a ransomware, if I'm right.
Yeah, that's the next step. This is the usual stuff, and there are different, I would say, techniques for this, because in many cases they are um, encrypting all the data on the network. They are destroying the evidence that they were there and what happened. They are in many cases encrypting even the backups, which could be very helpful in this situation, because then you delete everything and you put back a normal operation with a minimal loss of data. But it doesn't work today in many cases. And the newest version is that they start to publish this data, um, some sensitive part of it, which can be basically another way of blackmailing these customers to pay. And it happened in the US that even a police force was forced to pay for that, because otherwise they were not able to go back to normal operation. And the recent attack on this huge pipeline in the USA as well showed us that even the government is not protected. Uh,
Yeah.
Even if it's in the law that you cannot pay for it and you will be punished for that, but at the end of the day, they didn't have any other way to go back to normal operations. So it's very dangerous.
Yeah, and I think ransomware is quite interesting because, you know, I know the attackers are holding your data, right? And they will only, well, we don't know if they will, give it back to you when you pay the ransom. But if you don't, then do they sell it on dark web, or like they will not, they will do something with it?
Yeah. They will sell it, and there is a big market for this. And yeah, you are right. Mostly on the dark web, and they will publish it. So they will publicize. either a smaller or bigger chunk of it first, and later, if you don't pay, they will publish everything.
So, so ransomware or no ransomware, they're still one step ahead of us. They are the ones
Uh,
who are
yeah, at the moment, it's very dangerous
like
situation.
that.
It's very very hard because they are getting prepared for the next countermeasure what we can employ.
Thank you so much, Joseph. It was
Yeah.
lovely speaking with you. And if if somebody needs to reach out to you, how can they do it? If they have any questions related to cybersecurity, or there is someone who is a cybersecurity enthusiast like both of us, and they want to transition into cybersecurity, how can they reach out to you?
I think the best is to start with our homepage, securitylead.com, and or they can contact me on my email address, which is joseph at securitylead.com. Um, I think this is the best way to start on the web page.
Awesome. And Joseph, you're based in Hungary. It's a long weekend for us, so I'm looking forward to it. But thank you so much for giving your valuable time for this talk, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.